Get all, I can't believe Omar. And I'm not talking Omar Sharif. It's not, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Hey everybody, I'm back with what you wanted of me. I've got a lot of requests for this. People like my reaction videos, my commentaries, my analyzing of the Bulgarian. You know him, all right? He's always talking about IGP. And he's always talking about his training method, which is based on play quite a bit. And he's talking to Omar von Muller. Who is Omar? Some of you people will know him. Probably have seen his Malinois monkey who did the Parker course and can do all sorts of things. Do the rope bridge, can do the walking on his paws against the wall. Incredibly well-trained dog. I learned some things about that Malinois that I didn't know, that he was picked up from Craigslist. I thought maybe he went to a breeder, but he didn't. And I'm going to divulge into a lot of things here about this, because he was the first movie trainer or TV trainer that Ivan has talked to. And I've been wondering. And it's kind of weird, really, because Robert and I have been talking for a while. And we just did a thing about tricks, and this is what they centered their talk around tricks, but movie and TV training is far more than tricks. Oh, and if you don't know who I am, I'm Christoph Clugston. I'm the canine action dog trainer. Been doing it for half a century. Wide variety of different types of dogs. Sled dogs, I've trained everything. Protection dogs, military dogs, gun dogs, hunting dogs, boar hunting dogs, sport obedience dogs, all sorts of stuff. And I've done it from the Arctic to the jungle on 3 continents. And there isn't anybody with my credentials that is on YouTube currently. It's done all the things I've done, and I hold some records on YouTube, which people don't like, but hey, that's facts, and it's a challenge. Everyone wants to get all, they want to get all, I can't believe it. You know, okay, so I have a quarter mile sit stay and a quarter mile recall with my super dog. Nobody's done that. I have the 3-dog challenge. Nobody's done that. Passed it twice. Got people on here that do 3 dogs, but they're not doing a 3-dog challenge. It's much more difficult. I have the only 110-pound autistic American bulldog that's trained to limp, and I'm going to talk about Omar about that, my bulldog, in a moment. And I'm the only one who's worked with jungle dog, a real jungle dog. No, not an artificially bred dog, not a dog that you know. This is totally different. And because I lived in the jungle for 17 years, and that dog is from the jungle, I brought him with me back over to North America. All right, so let's get into Omar. Is a guy who didn't apprentice with a movie dog trainer. He's self-taught. He's obviously got skill. If you go way back, he did dog sports, and Ivan keeps wanting to go into that quite a bit in this talk. He did do Schutzhund at the time. I don't know if it was at IPO. It's shifted the names. Now it's called IGP. But he did it with an American Bulldog, which is good. It's much harder with American Bulldog to do some of those things than using a German Shepherd or a Malinois or a Doberman or a Rottweiler or a Dutch Shepherd. The purists just use German Shepherds because that's what it is. That was originally just a breed test, but it's turned into a sport. There's different types of the sport. There's different divisions. I won't go into that. But the Omar doesn't do it because it costs a lot of money, and where are you going to go with it? And there are people like Ivan who does that, and it's made him a name. That's what he always talks about. There's people who've done more than Ivan. Marco from Finland done more with the IGP. Of course, the number 1 guy is Mario V, and that guy is untouchable. You know, Ivan wants to talk about he's a 2-time world champion. This guy's 6-time world champion, like 15-time Belgian champion. Ivan's never talked to him. I wonder why on his podcast. Wonder why, Ivan? Why haven't you talked to him? You love to talk about sports stuff. You love to talk about sport dog training because that's what you're in. I know you've done other stuff, but that's it anyway. So he's talking to Omar about movie dog training, and Omar's not really going into a lot of details, but he is bringing up the differences in how he looks for dogs. Of course, he brought something up that a lot of people don't know. That is that you're looking for dogs that are lighter colored because the lighting and stuff shows up much better. It was very weird that Rin Tin Tin became enormous because he was a dark color. He was an incredibly good looking German Shepherd. And this is also back, this is 100 years ago, people. over 100 years ago, is born in 1918. The dog was more like a Dutch Shepherd. There's the GSD, German Shepherd dog. That was about the second generation when they were established as a breed from the original creator of that breed. So they were more athletic, they were lighter in weight than they are now. They've gotten heavier, they got the slope back and all that sort of stuff, hip problems, among other things. They don't live that long now. Anyway, it was more like a Dutch Shepherd. And I have a Dutch Shepherd, a KMPV, if you know anything about stuff. And I'll be talking to some KMPV people that I know in another interview coming up. So Omar is talking about these factors, and he's bringing up that he was influenced by Lassie and Rin Tin Tin. That's what a lot of people say that, but I've got Robert Weatherwax on my podcast. He's direct descendant. His grandfather is the original Lassie trainer. So, if you want to talk Lassie training, it's us, with us. You can't deny that. That's just how it is, folks. Everything else is watered down. Hearsay, basically, in comparison to what we can provide you. Check out our podcast, and check out our podcast that Robert and I did about trick training, and we always talk about movie training. Now, some of the things that Omar, because he was asked what are the important things, and he said speaking was important. I mean, barking on command is very important for a movie TV dog, and that also marks, and that's something we talked about. Marks, some people, if you're doing sports, if you do agility and stuff, they're touch pads, you call them touch pads, but we develop it more from the movie angle, and also some gun dog trainers have used it. And of course, I've alluded to this fact many times, that it's also taken from big cat training, because we use, ours are different, they're bigger, they're initially bigger. We start out big, and then Robert, and we've talked about this, so I refer you to our podcast. I'm not going to go over material we've already discussed, I refer you to that. But marks are incredibly important. It's one of the reasons why we train dogs differently with the movie tactical method than other people. It's completely different. Omar is talking about that slightly, and how that's incredibly important. Ivan wants to go off into the tricks, like what tricks do you do, and how is it important, what is going on, the tricks. And Omar agrees with Robert's father, whose also name is Robert. So Robert Weatherwax, who trained Lassie for the TV series, the last TV series, and he said the dog that is trained gets the job. And that's how Omar feels. He wants to train dogs that he owns his own dogs. He works for different agencies. There's a whole movie dog thing we can get into. I'd rather get into that with Robert, so I won't cover much of that right now. But he works for different agencies, and they know that he has certain dogs that can do certain skills, certain tricks. And he was talking about one of his dogs, Jumpy. He likes to use that E sound on the end of all of his names. Uggy, Jumpy, Monkey. They all seemingly have this, other than his bulldog that he had years ago back in the 90s. Anyway, would do a backflip, and he would charge at least $3,500 just for the dog to do that on film, and then he gets paid other money. We can get into that stuff with Robert. But I just want to say that he was known because he knew that few other people had dogs that could do that. Although I do know a circus dog trainer. He did his own live shows. That was in Reno. He's retired. He had many dogs that could do that. He's an incredible dog trainer. I'd like to do an interview with him. He's an incredible guy. But barring that right now, let's get back to these tricks. So Ivan is seeing it as tricks, and real movie dog trainers, it's not just tricks. It's about the whole motion, about the whole thing. And Omar was asked, does he use clickers? And he said, well, yes, with certain animals, but with dogs, I don't use them. But Omar can make really good different sounds, and he can make exact click sound with his mouth. Most people cannot. He can, and he uses it. And he said something that Frank Inn has said, Rudd Weatherwax has said, and Carl Muller have said, that the voice inflection, and it's in linguistic, because remember, I'm an academic linguist, and these guys start talking about certain things. I know these fields better than they do because I actually have degrees in it, like behaviorism. I know the whole operant field, respondent conditioning. It's not just something I read or something I tried to understand on my own. I passed academic tests on these things. I train rats and cats to do specific behavior chains besides doing dogs. I know this. I know that inside and out. And as far as linguistics go, I know exactly what they're trying to get across. They're talking about super segmental aspects. And if you don't know what that means, my other channel, I talk about linguistics. So you can go over there and learn. I'm not here to define and go through everything. I'm just here to point the finger to the moon. Okay, so I cover all those things. That's one of the things that I haven't delved into at all, because it's more of an advanced skill, and it's for people who are serious about dogs, and especially people who are using tactical dogs, and that's signal clarity. That's all I'm going to say right now. Signal clarity. So keep it in your mind, mark it down, think about it, try to do your own research on that. Okay, so with the linguistics, changing the supersegmental aspects changes the signal to the dog. And that's what was done when we talk about Pal, the original Lassie, getting out of the river, that iconic scene that is really like one of the greatest dog scenes ever done. It's all done from that, from changing the segmental signals given to Pal. All right? So Omar is saying that, and Ivan, man, I can't believe he did it. He actually said tricks are a game changer. And this is something that we got into when the podcast, when Robert and I were talking about tricks, that this changes the whole dynamic with you and your dog. It's a relationship builder. The bond increases. Your ability to train dogs increases. Your ability to observe what a dog is doing, the signals he's giving you, his communication, which is body language. Not humans, not focused on verbal language. It's everything but that. That all gets better. And it instilling behaviors in a dog, giving him new skills, allows the dog to learn faster and faster and faster, and he can mount them up. And that was one of the things Ivan asked Omar. He said, do you start seeing the dog putting things together on his own without you having to do it? And he said, yes, because Ivan knows that. As he's seen it, he's done it enough that he's seen dogs that put things together. And yeah, that's true, they'll put things together. My autistic American Bulldog will put things together, and I'm the only one that has it. Now, I will say something here, because Omar is a really good trainer. I know other people in the movie business and stuff, there's some ideas about him, but I have challenged all sorts of trick trainers, agility people, and said, do you have any dogs that have been trained to limp at the size and weight of my American Bulldog, let alone American Bulldog, but any dog that big? And they don't. And they even get flippant and facetious with it. Well, what about a horse? Well, it's not a dog, is it? We're not talking about it. Well, I could train a mountain lion to limp, but we're not talking about mountain lions, we're talking about dogs. So I'm the only one, but now Omar could do it. If he's put up against it, if he sees this, Omar seems to see it. Hey Omar, I'm challenging you, because I know you can do it. I know he can do it. It's how long will it take you to do it with an American Bulldog? And he knows, just like I know, there's something about American Bulldogs. There's a connection with that breed, if you want to use that term. Now, my dog is really a catch dog, made for boar hunting. His parents both had the same DNA, and so does he. He was bred to be a catch dog. If you don't know what that is, I explain that in another one of my videos, so go check out those videos. But, so, I know Omar can pull it off. I know he's one of the few people that can pull it off. So I just challenged him something to do, okay? Hey Omar, I'm challenging you just to do it, okay? It's something to do. I'm really impressed with Omar's English ability. Yes, I know, he's from Colombia originally. And among other things, that's one of my languages is Spanish. But he must have been here quite a long time. He started out in Miami, but he's in California. Anyway, that's a tangent. Often, sometimes I'm just impressed by that. And he is talking about a lot of things that are very important. Now, he was asked what he would do, and he was talking about spins. It's something I talked about too, that spins are really crucial to teaching dogs. One of the first things that he teaches dogs, spins and marks, and that's exactly, he's agreeing exactly with what Robert and I said, which, wow, there must be something to this movie tactical method, huh? So I would say to check that out, because we go into that in more detail in our podcast. Oh, by the way, if you can name all these, I'd be very impressed. Hey, who can name all these? Do you know what these are? Can you name all of them? You're going to have to freeze frame and take a look at them, and you're going to have to know your stuff. Okay? It's part of my tool set that I use for tactical training. Well, you can also use it for movie training. But there's a big difference between movie training and commercials. And Omar does a lot of commercials. It's a slightly different thing. And they were talking about skateboards. Yeah, I agree with that, with what they were talking about with skateboards and such. But those are commercials, and it's different. It's vastly different. The shooting for commercials is more trick-oriented. Movie, like pulling off a whole movie, like Robert and I were talking about, doing Beethoven. Of course, any of the Lassie movies, any of the Rin Tin Tin. Rin Tin Tin was one dog. Now, when these guys bring Rin Tin Tin up, I know about Lee Duncan better than any of these guys who are talking about him. And I know about his methods. I know about his training. This is an incredible dog that is the #1 action dog. No one has equaled him. No one has gotten close. Strong heart. Okay, pretty close. And Peter the Great, who got shot and killed back then during the 20s. That dog, from what I understand, from people who were alive then, who saw these dogs and saw the training, those two dogs, Peter the Great was supposedly incredible. I mean, insanely incredible. But Strongheart and Peter the Great and Rin Tin Tin, and there's a lot after that. Some of them are offspring of Strongheart and etc. that come along in other movies and such. Those dogs are the superstars. And that's one of the things that Omar kind of said. Is one of my things that I said in one of the podcasts. It's like, you can train anybody how to play basketball, for example. You can teach them how to dribble, you can teach them how to shoot, you can teach them layups, you can teach them the strategy, you can teach them passing, stuff, but you're never going to make a pygmy play in the NBA because they just don't have the natural attributes to do it. And that's what they were talking about. Ivan and Omar were saying, you got to pick the things that the dog is really good at and then accentuate those. And I talked in more detail with Robert about this, and I really don't want to go over everything we did. I don't want to rehash it, but what I want to say was I'm really surprised with Ivan to do this. That's cool. That's good. Ivan is more sport oriented, and he keeps, a lot of people keep thinking, the sport dog trainers are the be all end all. They're the zenith. No, they're not. They're not. And I've done a wider gamut of training dogs than anybody that's on YouTube, and for longer. And I will tell you, there are things to learn from different things. I'm waiting for Ivan to talk to gun dog trainers. That's up next. Or anti-poaching dog trainers, which would be more down his line. I don't know why he doesn't do that, because he's well known. Ivan's well known. People return his calls and such. So anyway, that's it and check out some of the podcasts. Check out some of my incredible dogs. Check out some of the stuff that I'm doing. And I'm basically, what's the purpose? People ask me, what's the purpose? The purpose is to raise your awareness on several aspects of dogs, to increase everybody's knowledge about dogs, as I know in huge amount, and to let you know that we're available. And I'm talking for Robert and myself, available for seminars, clinics, workshops. We do one-on-one training. You can come to us. I do board and trains. Robert does not do board and trains, but babbles about this. You gotta do this and that, and we'll talk to you. And I'm going to see you. And this is next on the list. Is going to be the next thing coming up. Is going to be